Best Network, Bahamas.
What's the secret of change? We don't fight the old. Instead, we focus on building the new. Welcome to the Table of Change. Come on in and have a seat at our table.
It's another Tuesday, the 29th day of October. It's Table of Change again. I am always so excited because we are here to change the table. And not only at the table, we're going to change the Bahamas. We are going to do it tomorrow. Let's go.
Jackie, I'm happy today is Tuesday because the topic for today, guys, it really needs to be discussed. I know we've heard it. We've seen it on Facebook. But the topic tonight on Table of Change, we're going to be talking about Mermaid Knowles and Ingrid Carie, aka Mervie. The situation that happened in Freeport with the granddaughter and the elderly case. Now, we know all of these, what's happening right now, it's all alleged. We know that we don't have 100% of the facts, but the little bit that we do have, you know, Jackie, it really left me feeling alarmed. It left me feeling like, how can we protect our elderly? So tonight, at Table of Change, you know what we want to do? We want to bring the issue to the table. One of the things with Table of Change is we want to be proactive and not reactive. Mm-hmm. So tonight we're going to discuss the situation, but we also want to come to some type of conclusion of how can we protect someone that's going through the situation. So tonight, I need you listeners to call on in. The telephone number is 325-5403. The toll-free number is 300-8255. And to sponsor Table of Change, please call 449-9106. The topic for tonight, stemming from the issue that we've all heard about over Facebook, concerning the issue with Mervie and the elderly lady. How can we now bring this to the table in a productive manner in order so we can be proactive and not reactive? Jackie, what did you feel when you heard about the situation?
You know what I like about what happened, and I like how ZNS, Mr. Clint Watson and the team, I really like how they go out and bring in the news. And because what Table of Change will do is once we get the news, we want to change exactly what's happening. If it's bad, we want to change it to good. And that is what Table of Change is about. So I am happy that it came up for different reasons. We need to learn what to do with our parents. We need to learn what to do with ourselves. Okay. And I want persons to call in. Tamara, guess what? A friend is here. A friend came and just popped in. She's here. Tamara, can I let you guess for a moment? It's someone we work together. We all work together at a bank, and she was our supervisor. Can you guess who she is?
Is she a powerful lady of God? You got to give me some clues now. Is she a powerful lady of God?
Guess what? She's a powerful lady of God. And I saw her the other day, and she's just glowing. And I'm saying, listen, you look like you're the wife of someone I don't know. You look so glowing. You look so nice, Tamara. She was always sitting in the back of us, Tamara. And sometimes we had little arguments, Tamara. But I am just loving on her.
Tamara. One more hint. Is she published author?
Tamara.
She is.
How's my girl? How's my girl doing?
Great with your guidance and everything that you've instilled in me professionally.
Wow.
And just in terms of, you have a quote that you always say, be careful what you don't like in someone, you may see it in you. And Ms. Gould, up to this day, I can hear myself. And anytime I'm in a situation, I repeat that to myself. So you have no idea what a powerful impact you have.
Oh, wow. My goodness. Listen, I'm so blessed to hear that. And it's a pleasure to be here. And guess what? Not knowing what color was happening in here, Jackie and I are wearing the exact same colors and matching the room. So you can't tell me this was not divinely orchestrated. God is faithful.
Great mind alike.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I am so happy because I know you can come to us in terms of dealing with the elderly, in terms of the church, in terms of, I think you're going to have a really good perspective for us. But Ms. Gould, one of the things that really troubled me when I heard this whole situation, and yes, we know the whole situation is alleged, but I do feel that in our country, we may be a little behind.
Right.
Because let's be fair now, we didn't have this issue in terms of people not taking care of the elderly. So what really leaves me alarmed is I'm trying to figure out what type of rules or laws or regulations that we have in place for our elderly. And I'm here to tell you and Jackie, in doing some research, it's alarming.
Wow.
It seems like we almost have nothing in place.
Agreed. It's like the elderly in our nation, after they've contributed what they have contributed, they are pushed to the side. And so I believe there has to be an awareness, first of all, of the part they played in making us who we are, especially in the lives of our children, and then the contributions that they would have made to society. And then finally, what are we doing to protect them for the rest of their lives? What are we doing to ensure that even if they have to be placed in a home, there is security, that they are protected, their rights are protected, that there are things in place? What kind of audit trail? Are these homes being audited regularly? Is there an audit trail that maybe an attorney or even we all worked in the bank, and we knew that at least annually we had internal and external auditors. And both of those worked hand in hand in tandem with each other to make sure that the institution was following the guidelines. And so I believe there needs to be something in place where these places are audited to make sure that they're not being taken advantage of, they're not being psychologically or physically abused, and in order to make sure that their rights are protected. And when there is a time when it seems like this person, okay, they're losing maybe some grounds mentally, immediately, because of the audit trail, something is put in place to make sure that they are protected and their rights and their heritage and their possessions are protected.
Well, on
and that's what leads me to thinking in the U.S. I know they have like elderly abuse, and it's really on par with almost child abuse.
Yes.
But I'm happy what you said about the bank, because I always say, let's not take it all the way to the government first. Let's just try and do our part of it. And I believe that bank tellers, the cashier at Super Value, you are alert to certain things. For instance, if an elderly person always comes into a Super Value, you may be the cashier, but you may notice that, okay, today is pension day.
Right.
You might see Miss Susie now with a trolley full.
Right.
But guess what, Miss Gould? In this trolley may be milk for a young baby.
Exactly.
It may be snacks for young children.
Exactly.
But you know this is pension day.
Right.
So why is this
elderly
person now putting
things.
these things inside a cart?
Exactly.
And I just feel that even that cashier now should have some type of obligation to, maybe bring it up to the manager's attention. Or maybe if you're aware of this elderly person and who their children might be, you may want to suddenly, pull them aside and say, this is what I've noticed of what's going on with Miss Sue.
So how that happens, though, is something that we sort of had years ago, but we don't have to the degree now, and it's called care. Even in the banking institution, customer service was key. Customer service meant I knew my customer. So I knew when a customer came in behaving in an irregular manner, something rose up in me to say something's wrong. And so there has to be that place where people care enough to pay attention. A lot of people do not pay attention to details. And I'll say this simply. You passing someone in the hallway and you say, good morning, how you doing? Do you actually stop to wait for that person to respond to tell you how they're doing, or you just keep walking? So it has become routine to ask how you're doing, but it's not careful enough to stop to listen for that person to tell you how I'm doing. Why? It's going to take too much time to listen. Going to take up too much time to listen. So I think there needs to be an awareness of care now. Care.
Tamara, and I know that most times when we have a situation, we always point to the government. And today I thought about that. And I'm saying, we have to get together. We have to come together as a group, however it is done, and petition the government, because after all, we had to come together to elect a government. And I'm saying, so I think we as a people, we sit back for them to do it. As simple as I think I had a discussion about the garbage being collected or cars on dirt on the side of the road, and you send them to court and it's a late log. They cannot be, the judge are not moving fast enough. And guess what? We are settling for that though.
Exactly.
We have to push, we have to get together. We have to find out, I don't know the legal term, maybe we have to put it on paper and just have everybody sign so that we can push these. Petition. We have to get these things done. So we have to blame ourselves for all of these things that are happening. We have to teach our children, stand up for what you want.
It goes back to care. Because when we lived in communities where everybody cared, we did not permit certain things in our community. That car, move that, please. Because that needs to go to the dump. If you leave that there in this neighborhood, it's going to make the neighborhood look bad. And it's going to perpetuate things happening in the neighborhood.
But Ms. Gould, people are doing that. We just had the show, I think it was last week.
Right.
People are doing that. But the neighbor is not listening. And why are they not listening? Because they know the leeway that they have as well. They know that she can tell me as much as she wants. And if I don't listen, she take it to court, and it take a long time. So we have to bring it together, even with our elderly. We have to bring it together, because, and then we in the home, the older children, we paying attention. We know when it's happening. Get help, encourage them. Parents, grandparents, do what you have to do. Put it in law what you want for your children. Listen to them. Do not wait. Putting something in writing doesn't mean that you're going to die tomorrow.
Right.
It doesn't speed it up.
In writing.
Tamara,
But you know, Jackie, it is a sensitive issue. I could just imagine being the child that has to now approach this delicate matter with the parent.
Right.
Remember now, Jackie, you know, a part of getting older, we don't want to give up our independence. We don't want to give up our control.
Right.
But I think now that narrative, I hope this opens up a lot of mature individuals' eyes in terms of why you have to get to a point where you have to, you know, put one child on the
account.
On the bank account.
Yes.
Why you have to now entrust in one child to know this is where this is and this is what mommy wants. Or you know what? Sit down. Have a dinner with your children. Let them hear it from you when you are in sound mind of what you expect to happen. But I feel that a part of the parenting is being let down because a lot of these elderly people are forced now to make a choice between their children that they are not prepared to do.
Tamara,
and it starts with relationship. You know, we saw that. You remember we saw that in the banking situation where parents would sit down and they're trying to figure out which one of my children I could trust. To know that if I put this child on my account, the child is not going to come and take off all the money.
But you know, what as children, because sometimes parents die and they just don't leave any will at all.
Right.
We have a part to play in everything because we need to just love each other, be fair to eeach other. If mommy and daddy die and did not leave a will, listen,
there's going to be a fight because it shouldn't.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be, and we agree. So how do we fix it? How do we fix it?
You know, I'm not gonna fight because for me, my fight, I would just leave it because I know that you're going to leave everything right here for me. Just be fair. I am not going to fight. I am going to let you have your way until you come to the right man. Some people say it shouldn't be like that, but I don't want to fight.
But the reality is that's the challenge today. That's why a lot of properties and homes are lying vacant.
Yeah.
Because out of 4 children, nobody wants to come together.
But the thing about it is, I think I've learned some things about the law. I had lawyers say something. The thing, when it's left for everybody, everybody have a right in it when there's no will.
Right.
So you can just sit back and watch them not treat you fairly, or you could put a stop on everything. So it's different choices.
It's different choices, and it depends on the
And
circumstance
so
too.
let's get together. We all have choices. Let's all get together. Let's
And let's
do
fix
it
it.
right.
Let's fix it.
Let's
It's
fix
clear.
it.
Let's fix it.
We
Let's
can't
fix
wait for
it.
anybody else but ourselves. So
Because
parents
what
again.
this generation does is gone past to the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to preserve that next generation by showing them what to do now.
Yes.
Be proactive, like you say, write a will, do these things with your bank account, set that in order so that at the end of the time, like we who have children now, we need to show them this is what you do,
Yes.
so that when time comes, that son has that daughter has that, and it's okay, and everybody is able to and talk.
Yes.
And I think communication is key. Let's talk about this. I have a house now, so if I have a house and it's three of you, tell me how you think this should go if something happens to me, and then once we come to that agreement, it's like, okay, we could put this in a will, sell it, everybody get a third. Or make a decision who is going to live where and who's going to live there. But communication.
Tamara, just give me one. I know you did your research, but you know what? Even when a parent puts somebody on their bank account, it's a big responsibility.
It's a very big responsibility.
It's a very big responsibility. I was
And
in
it's
that
trust.
position.
It's trust.
And it's trust. And there was one day my mom went to the bank with my baby sister, who took such good care of our parents.
Right.
And when they went to the bank, she called me and said, Jackie, they're saying at the bank that the money is not on the account.
Wow.
I was, give me 1 minute, I'll be there.
Right.
Because it was my name.
Right.
And-
Right.
And I was there, and they apologized that the young lady, sometimes you have new tellers.
Yes, of course,
and they
of
just
course.
didn't look because it was
Probably.
Royal Bank and Finco.
Okay.
And so they had to look at the
Okay,
one. And so I
okay.
was relieved because I was going to now be in trouble.
Of course.
And so it's a great responsibility. Tamara, I want to hear from you.
No, I was just going to piggyback off of what you said about the bank. You know, what I started to say about the grocery store and everyone being a part of it. I feel that, I don't want to say legislation, but it has to be some type of legislation or something in place to even now allow the bank to get involved. And let me tell you why I say that.
Mm-hmm.
I say that because if you are a teller or an accounts officer and you have an elderly person that comes to you and they've been coming to you consistently over the years, and you see from looking at the account that Miss Susie usually only takes $200 off the account, but somehow every time Susie comes with Joe, she takes off $400 or $500 off the account. Or if you notice in that banking industry, if you notice that a card was issued for this account, but this particular customer never used the
Wanted a
card.
card. Mhm.
And now all of a sudden, a granddaughter is appearing with Miss Susie, or you're seeing all of these different ATM withdrawals and stuff like that. I just feel that somehow if the country puts some legislation that, okay, now the bank is now required to report this to social services, or the bank is now the person that's on the account also, the other signatory, maybe, notify them. We want to know, are you aware? Are you monitoring the online banking to see the different charges that is being made by the other person on the account? I just feel that this has happened, but I don't have faith that this is not going to keep happening. I don't have faith that this is just highlighted and this problem is even bigger than we think. And guys, that is scary.
It is.
So what this hopefully will do is the powers that be have them now do deeper search and research, because it could have happened before but have been swept under the carpet.
I'm
Or
sure it
persons
happened.
not aware or not reported, but this one caught the attention.
It happened many times.
So now we have to say, okay, we may not be able to go back and recover what was done, but what are we going to put in place to prevent it from happening again? Something has to happen. And I think it goes back to auditing. Maybe all of the places that do this kind of thing, even down to the children's homes, audit it. I don't know how the government is set up as it relates to, I'm not investigating, but I think the same term that I use is audit. What do you have in place to show this is what it's supposed to be, but I'm noticing in this term you have an escalation here or you have a drop there. What can you account for that? What does that mean? That kind of thing. So something in place now where we can really search out and see what's going on.
I'm hoping we can hear from our listening audience. The number is 325-5403. Toll free is 300-8255. Call us because we want to hear from you. Tamara, I often say to you, this is not my show. This is not me and Tamara's show. This is our show, Bahamas. This is where we want to learn. This is where we want to change things. This belongs to all of us. So let's take part. Let's just do what we have to do.
Right. Hopefully from someone who has someone in a home. Maybe you can hear from them what are the dynamics? How are visiting time set up? Do you go at random, or can you go at random, or does it have to be an arranged time? That kind of thing. So maybe hearing from somebody who has someone in a home would be perfect.
Because we do hear when I'm walking, I'm going to work, sitting, people do say they do enjoy the show. But again, we have to open up. We can't just sit back. We are sitting back too much. We have to make things change. And I'm not one to keep talking about it. We have to do it, Bahamas. Come on. Call in. Zoom is there. Send in your questions. And we will be happy. And any lawyer, if you want to say something, I'm not sure. I know everybody's playing it safe, but educate us, teach us. We are here to learn.
Yeah. What's in the law? Is there anything in the law as it relates to the elderly that we may not know aware of? Let us know what our rights are. Let's know what their rights are. And it would greatly help. So it's a conversation. It's really a conversation.
You know what, guys? What really, I have to go back to, the Facebook and all of the issues concerning with Mervie. And I think what I heard was, what really alarmed me was when she tried to justify. Now, I know this is all alleged, right? But Ms. Gould, you can help me with this. If an elderly person is put in your care, how can you, I'm sure this person is put in your care for whatever reason in terms of they're not able to 100% take care of themselves. And if there's any idea that this person may be schizophrenic or have dementia, morally, how could you stand there and say this person is able to give you a gift?
Morally, you're correct. Because, and it goes back to ethics. Because I put my mom in a home. So who is the ultimate person responsible? Me. So anything that transpires as it relates to my mother or should pass through me. But ethics, there are some people whose ethics really have it's like liquid in your hand. And so if they see an opportunity to exploit, then they do it. So it speaks to character as well. And the motive, and the thing is, why do people do what they do? Why would you open a home? Is it that you see an avenue to do some things, or is that you truly have care for those that come into your home? Because sometimes people's motives need to be questioned, but ethics is thing. Ethics.
And I think sometimes it could be that they start off with the right mind.
They could, yeah,
and
end up.
And then they get away with it once. Human.
So again,
we
it's
are
a
something
possibility
else.
this
They get
happened
away
before.
with it once. But what I know, Gould, a woman of God, what's done in the dark
comes in the light, of course.
It comes in the light.
Of course.
I think if you do something once in the dark, please do not continue doing it because.
But that's not
going
human.
To know
that's not human,
but
Jackie. People do things until they get caught.
Yes, and then the good thing about it is that even when you got caught, you've gotten caught. There is still a way to change.
So what happens when you get caught? And see, it all goes back to repentance.
Yes.
Repentance is not just feeling sorry. Repentance is I'm going to turn from what I was doing. So when you get caught, what do you feel? Remorse for getting caught or remorse for what you did? Some people just get a remorse because they got caught, but they're not sorry for what they did. And so they go back and they say, okay, let me see how I can tweak this so I can probably adjust what caused me to get caught so I don't get caught again. So there has to be true repentance, which means I'm going to turn from what I was doing, not just cry because I got caught.
And the thing about this is that we haven't heard the full story yet.
Exactly.
I didn't even know what happened today. I heard a little, but I'm not sure. And so we just have to keep listening and see where it's going to go. But what I know for sure is that
Mm.
whoever did wrong, they can still change. There's
They
still a
can.
place for to
Possibility.
change.
Yeah, there's hope for
table
change.
of change is still there.
And I think it's going to heighten the awareness. I believe, it's a negative situation, but I believe awareness has been heightened.
Yeah.
So hopefully
Yeah.
persons who have persons in homes now going to be more aware and conscious of, okay, let me check to make sure this may not be happening with my mom or my daddy. So people's awareness are now going to be heightened. The challenge is people ride on a wave for a minute, then the excitement of it, and then they forget and go back to the norm. So we pray that things happen now that's going to keep this in the forefront of people's mind, so that people can make sure this don't happen again to anybody they love.
I mean, because we see parents who did well for themselves have monies, and we see if the parents are not taken care of,
Of course. we see
the
that.
children, they have the money, but the children are spending the money. They're
On
tying it to
themselves.
their bank account to
On
pay their
themselves.
loans. They're spending it on themselves.
We saw that in the bank.
We have to pay attention. We should be able to report it. I mean, they'll say you can't, but we have to, because what that means is we're not looking out for our own. So we children, we have to change as well. We're going to be caught too. We all have to change.
And legislation is a major part of it.
And we
It
have to
starts
fight
with
for
that.
it.
So it means not just national, but it has the financial sector has to make some changes as it relates to how it operates. Because there's secrecy as it relates to the bank. There's secrecy. So it's a lot of stuff that they may have to make adjustments to as well.
Tamara?
I'm still perplexed about the moral obligation that she had. In terms of working with the elderly, she should have more experience in terms of dealing with the elderly. And the small, transactions I've had with elderly people, that they would do anything to make you their friend. You can tell that sometimes they don't have anyone to talk to,
Yeah.
and therefore they're
Yeah.
going to talk
They
your
become
ear off. They're going to
trusting.
do whatever you want them to do in order to continue having the conversation with you. They're going to do it. And it's just a part of me that says anyone that's in a caretaker role know that they become almost childlike. And that's why I have to say that the government have to get involved with this in terms of this being elderly abuse. The situation, anytime a caretaker, alleged or anything, takes things to this step, it's abusive.
Exactly.
It's like an abuse of their power.
Exactly. It's just like a child being abused in the care of an uncle or a grandfather.
But you know what stood out to me? Like, actions speak louder than words to me.
Okay.
You can be telling me you love me, and if you're not showing it, I'm not buying that.
Agreed.
Someone gave you a house. She begged you to take the house. You can leave her in the home and go in the house and ain't bring her? Man, I drop in my pen.
But on that, guys, we will take a break.
So
We need to
morality
take a
for
break.
real. Morality
Repeat
for
that
real.
me.
Wow.
We'll be right back. We will take a break. Table of Change will be right back.
Whatever should be expected of an insurance company is exactly what you'll find at Harvest Insurance Brokers. And right now is a great time to sign up for automobile, home, group, or life insurance policies. But at this moment, what's really amazing is their newly introduced National Workers Healthcare Insurance Plan, which is a strong and concise medical package designed for retirees or those entering retirement, starting from as low as $275 per month. Harvest Insurance Brokers, located Dowsville and Armstrong Street. Dial 326-808445.
Quality in a service is not what you put into it. It is what customers get out of it. And Table of Change gives us customer service at its finest.
To sponsor Table of Change, I need you to reach out and call 449-9106. Table of Change is a show geared around customer service and how we are a service to others. For sponsorship, 449-9106.
Tune in to Tamara Fox-Smith and Jacqueline Fernanda-Moxie for Table of Change. Table of Change, every Tuesday at 8 p.m. right here on the National Voice of the Bahamas.
You could be here today and gone today. It shows you must be ready to go. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. Boy, that's a day of reckoning.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long
Join the ZNS Network Wednesday, October 30th for Darrell Day with a special memorial live at 3 p.m.
You don't know that I love you, hey? Thank you very much. I'm gone. God willing, then. I'll be back tomorrow with another. Who you think with? Exuma or Elutra? Provocative Darrell Miller Live.
We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you
Table of Change is back. It's back. It's back again. And so I have someone is asking here. Okay, so I'm sorry. Miss Gould, they're asking if you are a lawyer.
No, I'm a retired banker.
So let's get back to the topic. I guess that message went to the wrong person. And so we are back. We have Ms. Gould in house, and this is Table of Change. And remember, the numbers that you can call is 325-5403 or 300-8255. Please give us a call, and there's also a Zoom link. You can ask any question, even if you have a comment. It will be great.
So we have to remember, guys, a lawyer, it wouldn't be fair at this time to just basically discussing what's going on with this alleged case. Right. So therefore, we didn't bring anyone from the legal profession right now, but we are just discussing in terms of elderly abuse, but we are looking into getting a lawyer to come in and give us ideas of how we can protect ourselves from this happening. Because one of the things, Jackie, that what stood out to me is the fact of there was 2 powers of attorney. Now, what that said to me was, okay, one person got a power of attorney 10 years ago. How is it that another person can now get a power of attorney? So what I did, Jackie and Kanell, I did my homework on that. Mm-hmm. And there is nothing like a registrar. Let me give you an example. Like, my mind was thinking like the marriage registry, where now you have to now register that you're getting married. I was thinking that, is there, and if I'm wrong, please someone call in and let me know. But from my research, I've heard that there is not like a registry or something you can check now to see if someone has power of attorney. And when I say let's be proactive instead of reactive, that's one of the reasons why I would, call on the government, call on the lawmakers, to call on those strong people that, got together in Freeport that assisted this young lady with the situation. We need to now get together and demand that there has to be laws in place. Because how is it that I have a power of attorney, but 10 years now, someone can get another power of attorney? And that's scary. This could have been avoided.
So there is no legal tracking, so to speak, in the system, so that if a name is inserted, that name would come up with all legal aspects for that individual to say, well, okay, power of attorney by this one, that one. So, okay, that's a good point.
We have a caller on the line. We don't want to lose this caller. Mr. Miller,
Hi, how you doing?
thanks for calling.
I just have a question. I know you said if you have a question or anything, you may call. One of the things I'm concerned about is the Ingrid, the grandmother. And I know she was placed in a home, and I know they said she struggled with dementia and all of that stuff. I'm not an advocate for Mervie or anyone else, but it's just my thought. I don't think, you asked the question, where did we go wrong, or what could we have done? What can be done? Where have we gone wrong somehow? And one of the things that I remember seeing, I don't know if this was the law or where it was, but every Bahamian has the responsibility for being honest. I didn't even know that was there. And my thing is, Miss Ingrid, even though she has dementia or whatever it is that she has, I don't think she's crazy. And one of the things I paid attention to was the fact that it is said that you might as well take care of the house, because my grandchildren ain't gonna do it, or nobody's gonna this or that. I want to know what kind of relationship they have, because apart from the law, I'm not standing for Mervie. I'm not saying what she did was right or what allegedly was done was right, but I'm questioning the morality of the entire situation, which draws back to God if we are a Christian nation. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
There should become fair for God as it relates to the wisdom of the old or the elderly, the gift of long life. And I'm just thinking, if there's some fair, sorry.
Well, I would comment on that, because dementia or Alzheimer's, both of my parents had it, and it kind of because she knew her grandchildren. My son went and lived with her for a while, and she loved all of them. But at some moments, depending on what's going on, she actually, because mind you, her husband had passed away, my dad, and she saw this man in her house, and she's telling him, "You need to get out of my house." And because my son knows that that's not Grammy, that's just something happening right now, he didn't take it for what she said. And so that's how it is. They go back in time and they just say things because the mind is off balance, and so they say things that they don't mean. Some of them they'll give away their life if they have it to give away, because that's how it is sometimes with dementia and Alzheimer's. It takes them in another dimension.
And that's his question. His question was speaking also about the morality of the person, of the hearer. Mm-hmm. Dementia is a disease that where the memories and everything slowly begins to deteriorate, right? And so even though she may come to her and say, my grandchildren ain't taking care of the house, why don't you? Morality would say, she's not in a position to do that because she didn't put herself here.
Right.
There's a daughter or there's a granddaughter. So whenever they come to visit, say, man, guess what? She was telling me go live in the house. I know that's not right, because it's not. She's not in a mental state to do that kind of thing. And then legal ramifications are also in play. So the major question here too, as Mr. Miller said, morality. I bring my daughter to you, Jackie. You're my friend. I know you. But you can't just pick up and take my daughter because my daughter says she won't go to Disney World. You go buy a ticket and take my daughter to Disney World. You have to seek me. Yeah. I'm a parent.
Right.
So I have the legal right to say no, she can, or no, she cannot go. And so the person that put them in the home has the POA, legal right to speak what's to happen. So anything concerning that person should be addressed. So the whole question there is morality. And I think that's the question for anything that happens. Morality is not to the standard where it used to be. And so persons abuse a situation, take advantage and say, oh, she told me to do it. Come on, you know better than that. Yeah. Doesn't mean that you should do it, because that person is not in the position to give that kind of authorization.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Cole, I'm not sure if that was answered to your
I want to
satisfaction.
add something to that, caller. I heard a lot of things and what you said, but I just want everyone to keep in mind, and I don't want to go back to the alleged incident, but let's just use it as a learning point. The individual is a young person, right? Now faced with the decision of what do I do with my elderly parent. This individual now has a child of her own that she has to provide and take care of. And I know in the back of everyone's mind, you would say you have to keep the person home and you want to keep the person in their environment. But picture how tough that situation must be, because you have children that you have to provide for. How bad would it be now for you trying to provide for you and yours off of Grammy's pension? So there's a lot of reasons why people may have to make that tough decision to have to put someone in a home. But now let's be that elderly person now. You've been put into the home, not because no one doesn't love you, not because no one neglect you, because this is the best decision that maybe I can make now so I can support me and my children. And here it is now. You're confused because your mind is like a child. All you know is she leave me. They're literally, their minds become that childlike. And she leave me, and she leave me here with these strange people. And now you're going to become aggressive. And now you're going to become vulnerable. And now you're hot. You're feeling all of these different emotions that it's so hard for you to now absorb, because now you have mental issues going with that. You may have a little dementia. You may have a little schizophrenic. So here it is now, the person you were left with. That's the person that's feeding you every day. Not because the daughter didn't want to feed you, but that's the person that's there being nice to you. All it is, you would say and you would do anything that person wants because you want to continue getting that attention. You want to continue getting that care. And that's why we keep bringing it back, Ghoul and I, in terms of the morality of it.
Exactly.
Tamara, I love when you said that person is a child again. Once a man, twice a child. And so when people are older, that is exactly it. It's amazing because God allowed them to act like children, because that's what He said. And so we, as the older children, all the children, we now have to change towards them. You know, sometimes we say, Mommy's saying the same thing over and over. She's, you know, sometimes it makes you angry. I just tell you that. I used to tell my sister Cindy, she take good care of all of us. But I said, Cindy, do you need to take a break? Because sometimes we need a break. You have to condition your mind to change it and say, she's going to say it more than once. And then we need to have more patience with them.
So it's something that children and elderly have in common: vulnerability.
Yes.
Both are vulnerable. And if the person that is if they are in the care of a person that exploits vulnerability,
yes, that's what happened.
They become susceptible to it. And so, yes, she may have been in a situation that was unfamiliar, may have thought, wow, nobody loves me, or my granddaughter doesn't care for me the way, and here's this nice young lady that is taking care of me and everything, and so on. So it's again, it continues to go back to morality. I may be vulnerable, but does that mean you take advantage of my vulnerability? Does it mean you have the right to do it? I'm doing for you what I need to do for you because you've been placed in my care. Most likely she was being paid. Most likely. So I'm being placed in your care, but that doesn't give you the right to avail yourself of that which is still mine and may belong to my people. All right, so it's still about morality.
Oh, great. We have another caller on the line. We have caller, Patrice, go ahead. Go ahead,
Good
caller.
night. How are you?
I'm great. We're all great.
Yes, we are.
Good show. I love the topic.
Thank you.
But you're talking about the elderly. What about the disabled or the visually impaired that have children and have to take them to the bank? That happens also,
Yes.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And we've
So
seen
good
that.
topic, and I like it. But I just want to throw it out there because it doesn't just happen to the elderly. Also happen to the disabled.
Wow.
Okay?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
for
caller.
that insight.
Okay.
You are correct. You are correct. We've seen it. Both Jackie, Tamara, and myself have been in the banking industry for years, so we've seen it, and you are correct. So what do we do? How do we protect? How do we protect them? And and as bankers, we know that the standard is if someone is on your account, someone is on your account. So yeah, there's so many things that we have to consider as it relates to protecting them from abuse, physical, emotional, psychological abuse.
DeAndre has a question.
Good night.
Good night.
I had a question for you guys. Do you guys think a mandatory will at the age of around 45 for each Bahamian would have helped the situation?
I think, can you say
Mandatory
I
will.
wish we could make it
will.
mandatory.
Mandatory
He
will.
said a mandatory will at
Mandatory
45.
will.
Wow. Well,
that we will definitely need a legal mind for that one, because how
about 60?
How can you force someone? I mean, I don't know, mandatory. Maybe 68, because I think it's the fear of writing a will. I think one of you said it earlier, that if I write this will, it may mean I'm dying soon or whatever, that kind of thing. So, yeah, that it has to be a discussion. Maybe we can have some, what they used to call townhouse meetings around the communities and see how people, or what people's thoughts are, that kind of thing. So,
but a will is good, but again, we go back. In some cases, you can do well even without a will. Even if there's a will, there's a situation, because parents, I don't think they like to leave everything to one or two
child.
children.
And sometimes contested.
Yes, the best thing is, pick the child that will just share everything. For me, what I would do, like for if my parents,
some place may not have that child.
But if my parents have children that didn't grow up in the home with the husband and wife, for me, and for whatever reason, the opportunity wasn't there in the younger age to be there with the children. For me, I would then want to make up to those siblings.
Jackie, I understand your point, but that's you, Jackie.
I would do without. I would give up I know me and my brother said that.
That's not
my brother Floyd, we said, I would give mine to them.
Right.
And the family is really beautiful. And it's not because they even need it, but it's because for whatever reason, in the younger years, they were not able to eat out of the same pot. They were not, their children did not get the pleasure of being there with the grandparents who always like to give children $50 at Christmas. So we wanted to just make up, and really, truly, we wanted to. I still would do that, So, DeAndre, I think a will is good, but it still causes problems. It's still difficult for them to do, and so if you don't have a will, it's just for us to do the right thing. To do the right thing.
Wow. I mean, it's a good suggestion. It may help some, but yeah, you may still have the ones where it can prove to be challenging, especially as it relates to contesting.
We have another call. The calls are coming in tomorrow. Mr. Strawn, go ahead, Mr. Strawn.
Yes. Good evening. Good night.
Good evening,
ladies. And how are you all doing?
Very well, thank you, sir.
Very well indeed. I've been just listening, and I decided that I think I should call in. With that same matter involving Freeport situation over there, I read where that lady was given an ultimatum to be out of the lady's house. I think 7 days, she was given to vacate the property. Obviously, it's an abuse, and I personally have suffered something of similar nature with my family member. And in law, there's some crime that there's no statute of limitation. And I think fraud is one of those. And in my case, I believe that is what has happened. I am, in fact, my mother's only child remaining alive, the eldest and only remaining child. But some things happen I don't wish to discuss because it may affect my future legal matters I have to deal with. But I can tell you it is real, and only those who experience it really knows it. And it actually happened when I relocated to Family Island. And it is unfortunate that persons who are close to other people who did it. And so, like I said, that we need to pay attention to a lot of details that goes on. And like I said, that in my case, and anybody who suffered a similar fate, justice will be served. But for your show tonight to highlight this, I think it's a bold step. It's something that persons need to do, and being unafraid to discuss or ask the hard questions. And this is one of those that deserves to be discussed the way you are discussing it tonight. And I would continue to listen to your show. Excellent show. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling. You have so much valid points, and I hope everything goes well with your legal. I hope everything goes well with that and in your favor. And that's one of the reasons why we brought it to the show tonight. We know that this is an example of what is happening, but how many cases out there that we don't hear about? How many situations that we don't know about? And you have people that just walk away. You have people that just aren't willing to fight, not willing to take it to court, or not willing to take it to the next level because of finances or because of peace. And we just want to say to the government tonight, too, in terms of what are we going to put in place? What are we going to do to be proactive and not reactive? And, one of the things, as he was speaking, it came to my mind in terms of being apart and him being on the family island. I think when there's more than one child involved, if one person has the care of mommy or daddy, what happens to the other siblings? I hope they're not just hiding away and just being happy that they don't have to deal with the situation. Your job is, even though daddy and mommy might say this is a child that deals with the pension, you still got to come around. You still have an obligation to mommy and daddy. You still have to be of service of them. You need to not just call on the phone. You need to show up. You need to show up unexpected to make sure that they are given a bath, that they're being taken care of properly. You want to be sure that they're eating, but you can't find that out over the phone sometimes. You need to go there and be a part instead of now just, being concerned about who is in charge of the money, who's in charge of the fund. We have to be able to be protective of our elderly. And it takes the entire circle. And, what I'm hearing with doing the research is one child, K-Nell, gets stuck with mommy and daddy when there might be 5 or 6 other siblings.
Wow. And you're correct. You're correct. And the thing about it is, I think it goes back to that one child that takes care of mommy and daddy, right? The other 5 are missing. So mommy builds a bond with this one child that's stronger. And so this one child, for the most part, mommy says, I'm going to leave everything to you. But at death, the other 5 come after that one child with a vengeance, forgetting that they were not even in place to help. Okay? And that's the whole dynamics there. So I think it also, again, goes back to accountability for everybody. Everybody needs to be and realize that there's accountability somewhere. And then Tamara raised a very valid point. I think the legal profession, the legal aspect of it is key, but everybody can't afford an attorney. So if even persons are made legally aware of what all of this would mean, then it can really help them to understand what they need to have in place. So maybe there can be things by government, but that makes legal aid and assistance available either at a reasonable cost or maybe pro bono based on what the government can do. But again, it's so many different facets to this case that we will have to take it one by one and just peel away the layers to make sure something like this going forward doesn't happen. But it's morality, the legal aspect of it, family values coming back into place, children really caring for parents the way they should. So there are layers to this whole case, layers to this.
Maybe we could find some lawyers who would have people pay if they want to set up something,
terms,
pay
like
for it
payment
over
plan,
time.
payment plan.
And they just hold on to the will over time. But the thing about it is that I can have a will with you today, and someone can take you to do a will with somebody else tomorrow.
Again, so it's
and the last one would be the right one.
Like registry, like Tamara said,
Yeah.
being able to say, okay, that person already has a will, signed such and such a date. Why are you doing this unless, so.
Unless they really want to change it. Because change can come.
You know what I have to bring?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Jackie. I just wanted to say, we talked about the grocery store. We talked about the bankers. People are involved with the elderly. But I heard a story the other day where there wasn't any alarm, but the person was taking care of her elderly parent. And what happened is that the parent does have dementia, and she called the police. Now, when the phone rang, the daughter picked up the phone and she was able to tell officer, no, everything okay. That's my mother. She just has dementia. Now, in that situation, the elderly person was not harmed and she was safe. But then it got me thinking, is the police obligated to go and check? What if that wasn't the case?
Yeah.
What if that elderly person was in danger, but because you heard that it's an elderly voice, you went with the young person's opinion, and you don't know for sure. I feel that somehow they should have sent a car. And I know we're always short a car, and I know we have all kind of valid excuses of why that could not happen. But maybe this is a way of protecting too. Maybe if the calls are being made, in a situation like that, do you just accept the person's word for it?
No.
And I don't think that's fair to that elderly person.
No, because that was time to get the phone number, and then you can even call someone from social service to do a check. We all have to work hand in hand. Just send someone to do a check if you know the area. We just have to do it. We are all accountable for each other.
To protect the elderly. Yeah. Agreed.
And so we can't take it for granted. We can't take it for Tamara, you have just 3 more minutes. You're going to close it off tonight.
Yes, I'm going to close it off reluctantly because this topic is just open. There's so many facets to this topic that, we just can't touch on. But we at Table of Change, we want everyone to hear that, hey, everyone plays a part in this. Anytime you come across an elderly person and you suspect that maybe something going on, hey, you may be the neighbor. You might be the neighbor next door and hear the caretaker yelling or screaming at the elderly person. You need to take the time now when that person, when the daughter or whomever come home, say, hey, this is what I've observed. I've heard her talking to her in a very harsh manner.
Pay attention.
You've seen something that you didn't agree with. We have to get to a point where we stop waiting for somebody else to take control of a situation. And at Table of Change, we're applauding the government to please put something in legislation, put something in place that there are strict penalties, just how there is child abuse, there can be elder abuse, and make sure that people are aware that this example of this alleged situation will not be tolerated by law. But if we have nothing in place, what's going to happen? You have chaos. And this is an example of what has been going throughout the history in terms of elderly people. And unfortunately, we have to come with the times, Jackie. We did not have to face this. Yes, we had responsible children. Yes, we had children to take care of their parents. But unfortunately, nowadays, Jackie, financially, some people are forced to make that harsh decision. And when they are forced to make that harsh decision to put their loved one in the care of a caretaker, my goodness, let your morality come out. Let your heart open up. Not everyone that has to make that decision is doing it because they don't want the responsibility. Some people still have to provide for themselves in order to do what's best for their elderly person. We want to thank you, K. Neil Gould, for coming on the show tonight. Thank you to each and every one of in on behalf of Table and Change, myself, Tamara Fox-Smith,
Jacqueline Fernanda Moxie. We'll see you next week on Table of Change.
Radio Bahamas 1540 AM with a 4.5 FM, the national voice of the Bahamas. Only the sun.